To a lot of people, the biggest player in the world of cars is a fellow named Elon Musk. Here's a man who's built the world's most valuable car company, sent rockets into space, and is building underground tunnels for hypersonic train things, plus making lorries that are quicker than Porsches. But he's not the only one making major moves in the car game. There's another mover and shaker who, if you don't know, then you should probably get to know. And he goes by the name of Mate Rimac. Now, Mate is most famous for developing the Rimac brand of electric hypercars. He's the brains behind the C2. But Mate isn't just making waves in the world of electrification. You see, while many car makers are making the transition out of combustion engines and into EVs, this EV aficionado is making the transition into combustion engines. That's because despite the company only having existed for 10 years and having delivered probably fewer than 10 cars in that time, it's taking over Bugatti. Yes, that Bugatti, the brand the VW Group bought in 1998 and revived to create what it thought would be the final word on hypercars, with first the Veyron and then next the Chiron. In November 2021, however, the VW Group relinquished control of Bugatti to a new company called Bugatti Rimac. That's 55% owned by Rimac and 45% owned by VW Group's Porsche. Although, given that Porsche owns 24% of Rimac and 24% of 55% is 13%? Does that mean that Porsche actually has the controlling stake? Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. The point is that Bugatti, this illustrious 112-year-old brand making some of the best known cars in the world, is now controlled by a company run by a 33-year-old based in Croatia, a country whose only previous automotive claim to fame was Akrapovic exhausts. So, who is this 33-year-old? Well, Mate Rimac is basically a petrol head, but with a brain wired to understand electronics in a way that very few of us do. When he blew up the engine on his 1984 BMW E33 series, he converted it to battery power and ended up holding a series of speed records for electric cars, including an 11.8 second quarter mile, which is, well, it's fast. That's like Audi R8 fast. But he didn't stop there. He thought, why not go the whole hog and make an electric hypercar? As you do. This isn't your normal car geek, remember. His early heroes were Christian Koenigsegg and Horacio Pagani, two determined engineers who have managed to create some of the most outrageous sports cars on the planet. And I guess he wanted a piece of that action. So in 2011, he unveiled the Concept 1, an electric hypercar with 1,500 horsepower and a planned production run of 8. Just 8. The wider world learned all about it after Mr. Hammond crashed one in 2017, a year after it was officially launched, but by then, Rimac was already working on the successor, the even more extreme Nevera. And we all prayed that this was one that Mr. Hammond would maybe stay away from. This car's stats are mind-boggling. It's got 1,914 horsepower for a claimed 0 to 60 mile an hour time of 1.8 seconds, and it's built around what's claimed to be the largest single carbon fiber structure in automotive history. This car also forms the basis for the Pininfarina Battista, another electric hypercar. So you can understand why when VW was casting around for someone to take over Bugatti, a brand that had become a distraction for the German giant, in Mate's own words, Rimac looked like the perfect fit. So what's he going to do with Bugatti? Rip up the blueprint? Turn Bugatti into an electric car company? That would be sacrilege, wouldn't it? We can't stand for this. But actually, we might not have to. Not yet. In various interviews about his plans, Mate has said he's not planning to can the Chiron and rewrap the Nevera as a Bugatti. Instead, he's promised production will continue at the brand's Molsheim factory in France rather than moving to Zagreb, and that he's working on a Chiron replacement. Plus, that car, he reckons, is going to be a hybrid, probably, and that the brand won't go full EV for around a decade. It's interesting, isn't it? It seems like Mate's carbon footprint just became dinosaur-sized, because now his most famous car brand isn't an electric one. Amazingly, given the scale of the Nevera project, The hypercars are a bit of a sideline for Rimac. Their main work that they do is to develop parts for high-performance electric drivetrains like battery packs or electric motors and electric control systems. This is what attracted Porsche to buy a stake in the company in the first place. Rimac is also 14% owned by Hyundai Kia, and the two are working on a couple of high-performance projects together. The Rimac label has been spotted on a battery pack for the Hyundai RM20e prototype, a 799 horsepower electric race car, while the two have also collaborated on the recent Hyundai Concept FK sports car prototype that runs both a fuel cell and a battery-powered electric motor. Remember the Aston Martin Valkyrie? No? Come on, it's not been that delayed, has it? Well, that features a battery pack supplied by, guess who? Rimac. And Rimac also built the electric drivetrain for Harry and Meghan's wedding E-Type. And they supply the battery pack for Koenigsegg's hybrid Regera. So the guy is in quite high demand. And whether you're aware of his work or not, quite a few very impressive vehicles in the future will have his name all over them. What's interesting though is that Rimac has said he doesn't want to compete with his clients by going into volume car production. You can sense that he's not actually that interested. He's previously said that he thinks that the bread and butter cars are heading in the direction of autonomous pods, a technology that he's also got a hand in, by the way, and that their makers are doomed to become white label suppliers, like those factories that slap different brand names onto the same washing machines. No, instead, what Rimac wants is to make the high-functioning parts that increase emotion and fun in those electric cars that won't become white goods. And that sounds good to me. There needs to be someone out there with that kind of ambition and mentality. Otherwise, cars will end up just being dishwashers. And I have high hopes for Mate. In the 10 years from going from 0 employees to around 1,000 now, Rimac has become seriously knowledgeable as a company. And it's a company that deserves a shot at reinventing the likes of Bugatti. Look how they're pushing the boundaries. And look how Bugatti, as a brand, have kind of become slightly old school. You've heard of the startup saying, move fast and break things. And no, I'm not talking about Richard Hammond. I'm talking about Rimac. Because Rimac must have broken a lot of stuff because of the pace of their evolution. It's astonishing. And it's not just cars. Mate's side project is an electric bike maker called Grape that Porsche's venture capital arm has just announced it will take a majority stake in. Cha-ching. Talk about living the dream. Here's a guy who loves cars and who's pretty good at electronics. One minute he's tooling around in a converted electric 3 Series, then he's built a working electric hypercar that nearly kills a national treasure. I mean, that will be the pinnacle for most of us. But then Porsche come knocking. Porsche, probably the most respected sports car maker on the planet after Ferrari, and they want to give you money to work with you. And then just 6 years after making your first production car, you've taken control of Bugatti. Wow. No wonder he's been branded Europe's Elon Musk, minus the dodgy tweets. What's next for Mate? Well, sky's the limit, I think. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you like this video. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.